Hello and welcome to my channel. This is the first video in my YouTube channel, and this video is based on the topic animal tissues for standard 11, class 11 students, or anyone who wants to study about animal tissues can see this video. I hope this video will be very useful for you. So let's begin the lecture. This is the lecture number 1 of animal tissues. So what is a tissue? First of all, we need to know what is a tissue. So a tissue is basically an association or a group of somewhat similar cells which have common origin and are dedicated to carry out a specific function or functions. So tissue means it is basically nothing but a group of cells, and this group of cells will function specific functions. Like suppose, for example, this is a group of cells. This is a group of cells. I am drawing this with black. This group of cells has formed a tissue. Okay, this group of cells will form a tissue, and this tissue will be basically involved in the digestive system. I am drawing another tissue. Suppose this is also a group of cells. This is a group of cells. This group of cells forms a tissue which will be functioning in the nervous system. Okay, now this is a group of cells. Suppose this is a group of cells. This group of cells will basically function in the say for example in the excretory system. This group of cells forming a tissue. This group of cells is forming a tissue, and this tissue system will function in excretory system. This group of cells which have formed a tissue, this group of cells will function in the digestive system, and this group of cells which has formed tissue, this group of cells or tissue will function in the digestive system. This is basically what a tissue tissue does. This is basically a function of tissue. Okay, so now the next question is, how does a tissue forms? How does a tissue form? A tissue basically forms in the following manner. First of all comes is the atom. Many atoms together forms a molecule. A molecule you can say polymerizes or links with another molecule to form a macromolecule. Many atoms form a molecule, many molecules forms a macromolecule, and a macromolecule basically leads to the formation of organelles, and this organelles forms a cell. Now this cell ultimately forms a tissue. Okay, basically, for example, a cell, if you see, this cell is made up, the plasma membrane of this cell is made up of lipids or phospholipids. These lipids are nothing but macromolecules, and if we want to go deeper, these macromolecules, phospholipids, are made up of carbons, oxygen, hydrogen, and various other atoms. So you can understand how this atom is basically leading to the formation of a cells, and these cells, through various addition molecules, they form a tissue. So I hope this is clear, that how a cell forms or how an organelle forms. An organelle, for example, mitochondria also has a membrane. This membrane is also made up of phospholipid. Okay, or we can say mitochondria consist of many proteins which are involved in our respiration. For example, electron transport chain. This electron transport chain is made up of what? It is made up of proteins, and proteins are made up of amino acids, and amino acids are nothing but made up of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, nitrogen. These are what? These are nothing but atoms. Okay, so this is how you can understand how an atom is leading to the formation of an organelle, and many organelles like ribosome, mitochondria, chloroplast, these are basically forming a cells, and many cells are joining with each other through various addition molecules and forming a tissue, and this tissue basically forms an organ for some tissues. For example, they will as shown in this diagram, this is a kidney. This tissue is specialized for becoming the excretory system. Similarly, some tissues will form the digestive system, some will form the nervous system, some will form the the blood system, you can say. So many organs together, like the liver, kidney, brain, heart, etc., they together form an organ system. Okay, and this organ system basically leads to the formation of an organism. I hope this is clear, how an atom basically is leading to the formation of an organ tissue, and tissue to the organ to the organ system, to the organism. This will be much more clear in the next diagram. As you can see, this is a cell. The cell is forming tissue is forming organ is forming an body system. For example, this is a nerve cell. This nerve cell, many nerve cells are leading to the formation of a nervous tissue. Many nervous tissue is forming a brain, and this brain is basically forming a nervous system. Okay, so another example, this bone cell. This bone cell is forming a skeletal tissue. The skeletal tissue is forming a bone, and this bone is ultimately forming a skeletal system. And together, all these system, the skeletal system, respiratory system, muscular system, nervous system, circulatory system, and digestive system, together all of this system will lead to the formation of an organism. Okay, now the next question is, why we need tissue, why tissue formation is required. Okay, why a group of cells, a particular group of cells is forming a tissue, another particular group of cells is forming another tissue. I mean to say, why this is happening, why some cells are forming this digestive system tissue, why some cells are forming this nervous system tissue, why some cells are forming these blood cells, why? So here is the reason, that in unicellular organism, as you know, all vital functions like digestion, respiration, excretion, reproduction are performed by a single cell. Okay, this is performed by a single cell. For example, in a bacteria, okay, in a bacteria is an unicellular organism. This single cell, bacteria is a single cell. This single cell is doing their digestion, they are respiring, they are doing the excretion, and they are also reproducing through binary fusion. That a single cell is doing that. Okay, the single cell is doing so many functions like digestion, respiration, excretion, reproduction. A single cell is doing, but in a multicellular organism like us, like the human beings, it's not possible for a single cell to do this. Okay, there is a term, as you can see, division of labor. Division of labor is nothing but you can say the work, a particular work in a, for example, in a function, in a function of a work is being divided. There are various kinds of works. Okay, various kinds of responsibility. This responsibility is not possible for one person to do all the responsibility, to carry out all the responsibilities. So that some of the responsibilities these responsibilities are basically divided into various people, so that the workload decreases and the work becomes easier. So this is division of labor. Okay, there is no division of labor in cells. The single cell is doing everything, but as you can see, in the complex body of multicellular organisms, it is impossible for every body cell to efficiently cope with the vast physiological requirements. As I said, in a particular function, if a single person is given all the responsibilities, that person will not be able to cope up with all the responsibilities. Okay, similarly in a multicellular organism, for example in a human system, if a single cell, if a single cell or a single tissue is being given the responsibility to do all the functions, it will not be able to do, because there are multiple physiological requirements. Therefore, the cells in multicellular organisms become dedicated to carry out one specific function efficiently and become specialized. So, there is cell differentiation occurring. I will explain the term cell differentiation, and I have explained the term division of labor. A group of cells carrying the same function forms a tissue and performing a particular function. This is the most, simple explanation for what is a tissue. I am reading it out one second. A group of cells carrying out the same function forms a tissue and performing a particular function. Coming to this diagram, this is a group of cells. They are forming a tissue, and this tissue will only will be involved in digestive system. This group of cells will not be bothered about the nervous system. Similarly, this group of cells is only bothered about their nervous system. They will not function in the digestive system or in the heart pumping or in the excretion. Okay, this is called the division of labor. This is how division of labor. This group of cells is performing a digestive system. This group of cells performing involved in nervous system. This group of cells involved in excretory system. This is how the work is being divided. This is what division of labor is. Now the term comes cell differentiation. Cell differentiation. What is meant by cell differentiation? It is a biological process wherein cells gain specialized roles and switch from one cell type to another in an entity. In very simple terms, cell differentiation means specialization. Okay, cell differentiation means specialization. For example, when MBBS student is studying, is pursuing MBBS. Okay, he is not a specialized doctor. After completion of his or her MBBS, some becomes a gastroenterologist, some becomes a cardiologist, some becomes a nephrologist, some becomes neurologist. This is how they become specialized. Similarly, the same thing occurs with the cells. Cell differentiation. There's some cells, these are called stem cells. Stem cells has the property to differentiate into various kinds of cells. The stem cells can differentiate into muscle cells. They can become specialized to become blood cells. They can become specialized to become nervous cells. They can also become specialized to become cardiac cells and liver cells and intestinal cells, and so on. This is all cell differentiation means. Cell differentiation is nothing but cell specialization. Now coming to types of tissues. There is basically 4 types of animal tissues. It is the epithelial tissues, another is the connective tissue, another is the muscular tissue, and another is the nervous tissue. These are the 4 broad categories of the animal tissues, and there are also subdivisions in the epithelial tissue, which I will discuss in the next lecture. So here it is shown the origin. Epithelial tissue origins from ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm. I will come to these terms in a few moments. This connective tissue comes from mesoderm, muscular tissue comes from mesoderm, and neurological nervous tissue also comes from ectoderm. Now what is meant by ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm? During the development of an embryo, a stage comes, this is called gastrulation. A stage comes gastrulation, in which three layers are formed. Three layers, better to say primary germ layers or germ layers. These germ layers, what are the three germ layers? One is ectoderm, another one is endoderm, another one is the mesoderm. These are the three germ layers. As the name suggests, ecto means out, endo means in, and meso means between. Okay, ecto means this is the outermost layer of the embryo, endoderm forms the innermost layer of the embryo, and mesoderm forms the middle layer between the ectoderm and the endoderm. Okay, now this ectoderm, endoderm, and mesoderm, they become they differentiate into various parts of the body. For example, the ectoderm gives rise to the skin, hairs, nails, nervous system. The endoderm gives rise to the liver, pancreas, etc. And the mesoderm gives rise to the circulatory system, kidney, and internal sex organs. This is the three germ layers. This will be discussed in more detail in the reproduction in organisms chapter. So I hope this I am able to clear this concept of animal tissues in this lecture. If you have any doubts, you can write it down in the comment box, and I will try to answer your doubts. Thank you.